Yep.
All right, do your thing, bro. And action.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fit Society Better Together podcast. My name is Corey. I am here with MJ and Cassidy. Boom. That's MJ.
That was just my intro.
That's Cassidy. Boom. There it is. Today's topic is victim versus victor mindset. What that means, obviously our format is going to be 3 thoughts, 2 myths, 1 question, and an action, which is a go for you to go do yourself to make your life better. And we're going to jump right into our thoughts on victim versus victor mindset. Cassidy, why don't you kick us off, buddy?
Wait, but before we do, Corey, I think it's very important to note that although people will be listening to this on Monday, the 31st, Memorial Day, one of our pillars of this trifecta turned 109 years old today. So we must wish that individual happy birthday. Happy birthday, Cassidy. This is his birthday. Cassidy has
thank you all.
Cassidy has multiple roles and responsibilities at the Fit. It's a member, it's a coach, it's honorary owner, it's podcast aficionado, general pain in my ass, and pal.
Usually.
But happy birthday to you, Cassidy.
Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it.
For sure.
You're so welcome. I was going to forget, to be honest. I wasn't even going to bring it up.
I know.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
Enough about that. So, victim versus victor. And by the way, and Corey kicked it over to Cass, and we'll get his thought first on this as we go through. It's 3 thoughts, 1 from each of us, 2 myths, 1 question that we ask ourselves, and then a go, which is an action plan, is some of the feedback that we've got so far. I mean, we got a lot of good feedback for the 3 people that are listening. It's been good. And just so you guys know, we've committed on our end to doing this thing for 12 calendar months. So we're not going anywhere. And Cassidy's in Montana today. He's actually got a big boy job, separate and apart from all his responsibilities at Fit Society. He actually has a JOB. So he's in Montana, and then we're back in Arizona. So this may be the format, just so you know, moving forward. But with that being said, this topic, before we go into it, this can be one of those sensey topics. Okay, full disclosure, asterisk at the bottom. And when I mean by sensey, I mean sensitive. And for anybody that knows us, and for maybe people listening that don't know us that well, we are unapologetically candid. I think that's a fair statement, all of us. Some of us do it with a little more tact and couth than the others, but we have a tendency.
You looked up couth, huh? You looked up couth.
That's right. That was
before you started.
I put it in there.
Word of the day, people, couth.
But I've said often, and I've explained this to my team. I've explained this our team, my team, our team, as well as our community when I give talks, is 1 or 2 things is usually going to happen after we have a crucial conversation about a sensitive topic. And that is, you will be highly enlightened or you will be highly offended. And usually it's one of the 2. It just is. And so full disclosure on this particular topic, when we start talking about victim and the word victimization, which is a very sensitive thing, naturally and understandably so, we understand that there's feelings involved. But I just want to make it clear that whatever we say is, that's our opinion. That's how we feel. And again, we're trying to have some breakthrough and provide real value on this thing. And in doing that, it may lead to some uncomfortable conversations, and we're okay with that.
Yeah.
Anyways, as we go into this particular,
thoughts.
So as we go into this particular topic, this is our best understanding on this. And if you take it personally, good, because we want it to be personal, and we want you to be the best version of yourself, just like we're trying to be ourselves. So Cass, what are your, what's your thought on this topic of victim versus victor?
You bet. So I agree. Sometimes this is going to be a little bit touchy and like you said, sensey. But it's really the mindset of, I am a victim and I can't do anything about it. I was born with a slow metabolism. I was born into a family that didn't have money. I only have one parent. I don't have leadership, or I was born in a small town, or a town that is, it doesn't have a lot of options. Well, there's also the opposite way of that, is being born into something with too much, and you are spoiled and you don't know how to fend for yourself. So really, and I know you're going to get into this, MJ, is that, everybody has some sort of victimization that happened to them in their life somewhere, and so really it's that thought of that mindset. If I came from a small town and I played athletics, nobody's going to see me. I'm not going to get an opportunity to be a college athlete or extend my career. Well, nowadays that is further from the truth than it ever has been, with social media and people being seen in so many different ways that, even when I was young, where there was no such thing as social media. And I went to a very, very small school, and I was lucky enough to, to play college football and other college sports. So, I could have just said, well, I'm from a small town. I'm done. I play high school football and I'm out. And that's the last thing I have. And fortunately, I had great people around me that taught me that, you can earn and get somewhere without having all of those outside influences helping you, if you have the drive to get there. And so really, it's just because I was born in a situation, or I'm given an opportunity or not given an opportunity, doesn't mean that's the end all be all. You can turn that victimization into being a victor. And so that's my thought on that piece of it.
I love it. Love it. Haven't they ever seen Rudy, Cass? I mean, come on.
Exactly.
Just go watch Rudy. Go watch it.
Exactly.
Good for the
Yes.
soul, man.
No, I'm gonna go. I think for my thought, I'm gonna go a little more sciencey, because I've been diving into some sciencey stuff lately, and it pertains to this. So I'm gonna use it as an actual.
All right, smart
thought.
guy.
Yep. So basically, in our body, we have this thing called interoception, which is how you are perceiving both the physiological and both the mental and emotional state of your body. So when you are doing things that cause stress, like working out, or maybe you almost get hit by a car, or you have a confrontation with your spouse or your boss or whatever, your body starts to produce stress hormones, things like cortisol. And how you perceive those hormones and how you perceive that stress really dictates how that situation feels. So, for example, somebody who really likes working out, they start to work out, they push their body hard, they're putting themselves into a stress state. Their interoception, which is how they're perceiving that stress, their faster heart rate, their faster breathing, all of these things is what makes that scenario either good or bad. So when they are working out, if that's something that they like to do, then they're going to perceive that. They're going to finish that workout. It might be hard at the time. They might be breathing heavy. Their heart rate might be up, but they're going to finish that workout. They're going to be laying on the floor and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Like, that was exactly what I needed. That was really good stress.
Yeah.
And that's how they're perceiving that. Now, you could go into a situation where you get into a confrontation with your boss or with your spouse and perceive that exact same stress, those exact same hormones, but as something completely terrible. Like, my boss hates me, I'm going to get fired, or me and my wife are on rocky measures, or I almost got hit by that car, that guy's such an asshole, whatever the case may be. You're perceiving that as a negative situation. So I think this is something where, when people take note of this and start paying attention to not just being in a reactive state, getting into a scenario and reacting, but then analyzing, like, why did I react like that? Why do I feel like this? We can really start to shift from that victim to victor mindset, right? You might get into a scenario where you're like, my boss just got into a confrontation with me. And instead of leaving that scenario thinking that was super negative, my boss hates me, he's out to get me, etc., you can leave that scenario and be like, wow, I know exactly what I need to improve. There's room for growth here. I can now switch around and do a better job. So I think that's kind of where my thought on the victim victor mindset is we can really take an outside perspective of how we're reacting to scenarios. That'll give you a lot better perspective on your life and how you're handling things.
Yeah, totally agree.
Corey, is that some sort of like passive aggressive,
I
like,
said boss a lot, huh?
yeah. Was that
Yeah.
kind of, was there some innuendo
Yeah.
there?
No, you're just in the top right corner, so you're the first person I'm looking
Right.
at.
I mean, the
I'm not
great
gonna-
thing is, I
I'm
mean,
not
the
going to
truth,
say I get into an argument with an old man.
yeah,
That's
I mean, the
fun.
truth of the matter is we really have no problem going through the front door and having candid conversations. So
No.
the last thing we got to worry about, thankfully, and I'm grateful for that.
Yes.
We light each other up equitably.
Yep.
But you know, you said the word react, and when I think of this topic, which, like, on a personal level, this topic means a lot to me. It just means a lot to me because I think
Yeah.
for anybody that's listening, I think if you can really listen to what we have to say today, and a lot of this is regurgitation of, at least for me, on my points, is me being a messenger from things that I've learned from people that are a lot smarter than I, that have done a lot more and accomplished a lot more, but have done a lot for me in my life. Okay. And I, like everybody on the planet Earth, has suffered at one point in time. I'll use that word, suffered, from some sort of victimization. Okay. And so when I think of victim versus victor, and I think about Corey talking about that word react, where I immediately go is a book that I read years ago called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. And I always try and give the credit where the credit is due on this stuff. But over years and years and years, I've made it my own, and I just start stealing the shit. So I don't know. It may have been some other book, but I'm pretty sure it's him. And in that book, guys, he talks about, and it's the first chapter, which is take 100% responsibility for what you have in your life. Understanding that you either created it or you allowed it to happen to you, one of those two things, but either way, it's your fault. Okay. And this is where the sensitive stuff comes in. But he has an equation.
You want me to get my tissue box?
Yeah, get your tissue box. But he has an equation in there. It's called E plus R equals O. E is short for event. R is short for response. So Corey, to your point, like reacting or responding. And then O is short for outcome. So it's E plus R equals O. And I think if you can understand this equation, you can really understand what makes the difference between a victor and a victim as a landing spot at the end. See, I would submit that most people think that their outcomes they are currently realizing in their life today, in all areas of their holistic life, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially, are because of events, or the E, because of circumstances in their life. I stand firm in that statement. And the equation is this: is it's no, you're missing it. You're missing it. It's yes, those events are real. Those circumstances are real, but that doesn't define the outcome. What defines the outcome with respect to you being a victim and landing there, or a victor and landing there, is how you respond. That's right. The X factor. That's the X factor. Yeah. So Cassie, going back to you and your point, you outlined, growing up in a small town and not getting noticed and everything else. Yeah, that's an event. E, that's a circumstance. But is that the reason why you didn't get the scholarship? No. If you believe that's the reason why you didn't get the scholarship, are you a victim? Yes. Do you exercise a victim mindset instead of a victor mindset? Yes. So we do this all the time. And last podcast was about motivation, and we brought up this idea of having a set point, that most people in a natural set point at homeostasis, that's 5 syllables, Corey, and it's a scientific word, okay? At homeostasis, most people lack motivation. I think our homeostasis when it comes to victim versus victor, generally speaking, with the general population, is one of victimhood. Again, that's a positional statement for me. That's just my truth. That's in working with hundreds of thousands of employees. That's in working with hundreds of thousands of members and helping both employees and members accomplish that's in goals that they have. That's in working with friends and family. Most people have a set point of victimhood, and it's not hard.
Right.
It's not hard, right? It's a natural thing. Like I grew up poor, so therefore I have to be poor. Or, I grew up in a small town, so they're like, no, you're missing this fucking thing in between called the R. Nobody's saying that those events aren't real. Nobody's saying that those circumstances aren't real. But what we're saying to you is, if you want to be a victor, if you want to win, you need to understand you're in 100% control of it.
Right.
The way you control is how you choose to respond to those circumstances or events in your life. Because, like Cassidy said, how many people do we know have grown up with what I would call the silver spoon in their mouth?
Right.
They had a mother and father that loved and cared for them. They had a family that supported them. They had the financial means to do whatever they wanted. They were the most gifted athlete that you've ever seen naturally walk the face of the earth.
Right.
Okay. They were good looking. They were gregarious. They were charming. All the fucking things are all the events, the circumstances that would say that person should have this outcome.
Right.
And we all know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 50 people that have been giving that event or circumstance and have failed miserably and landed at a victim. So this notion,
and that's the thing too, and I mean, I agree with you on that, MJ, is that, and it's not in every aspect of your life either. You know what I mean? So you could be, financially healthy, and you could have done very well with that. But then there's other areas in your life where you say, gosh, I'm 50 pounds overweight. Well, it's because I work too hard, or I have too much responsibility. Well, you're still being a victim, even though you're so successful in this other piece of your life, you're still claiming the victim over here because of your circumstance.
Yeah.
And, again, you're playing that victim role and not taking ownership and responsibility and saying, okay, well, instead of just eating crap every day when I'm at work, I'm going to go take a walk for 20 minutes and I'm going to go have some healthy food and hopefully get away from that, so I can add that balance and not be a victim in every, again, everybody has that feeling, right? Like you just said, 99% of people have that somewhere in their life. And, and I mean, I fail, I fall into that at times too. I'm like, oh, I travel too much, so I do. Yeah, I do fall victim to it. So yeah, so I was just wanted to saying that, it's not just everything. If you're a victim at one thing, doesn't mean you're a victim at everything. Yeah. You're a victim in certain areas of your life. And generally that's what it is that you're successful in certain things, but then you fall short in others and you claim that victim feeling, or you have that victim mindset. Yep. And the topic that is, or the thing that unites us, right, is Fit Society, and us being a gym and a community that prioritizes a healthy lifestyle. And most people we've established through the podcast in previous episodes come to our space because they want to look good, they want to feel good, they want to lose weight, they want to increase lean mass, they want to drop body fat, they want to do all these things, right? And if I had $1 for every time I heard a reason or rationale for them not accomplishing what they want, being geared towards events or circumstances, what you just brought up, versus the choices they made, which are the response to said event or circumstance, we'd be on an island in Tahila sipping freaking Mai Tais for the rest of our life. That's how many dollar bills we would have from that. So what does that mean? What that means, and it's a very, going back to a sensitive topic, if you're listening right now and you're struggling, and your struggle is real in any of those capacities, like let's say you're kicking ass in work and you're just stacking dollar bills. If you're 21 to 65 right now listening to this call, you're 21 to 65, you're working, you're doing your thing, you're going to spend all this time, energy, and effort on building your wealth, only to turn it around and spend it on your health from 65 to whatever the good Lord gives you. Okay. What I want to submit to anybody that's working on themselves in a fitness space, listen to me clearly, very clearly.
and I have a tendency to tell people kind of what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. Your struggle is real. Okay. Your circumstance is real, but it doesn't define your outcome. Your excuses are bullshit. Your work is bullshit. You having a family is bullshit. You not being able to cook at home is bullshit. It's all bullshit. Okay. Not that it's not real and those aren't real challenges. What I say, when I say it's bullshit, let me define that. That's as bullshit as that's the reason why your outcomes aren't what they want. No.
Right.
You have real circumstances. You need to choose and change your response, how you react, Corey, how you respond to those real life circumstances. You're not a prisoner of your genes. Your thyroid is not why you're fat. Your metabolism isn't slow because you're getting older. The reality is you haven't prioritized a lifestyle that leads to good choices to respond to your current events. And again, I just want to send that message out there because in our space, we're fitness people, right? We're fitness people. We prioritize a healthy lifestyle. And I just want to encourage everybody on this call or this, whatever, Zoom, YouTube, or however you're getting to us right now on the platforms, is like, you are capable, you can, and if you understand the difference of a landing spot between a victim and a victor, you will. You ultimately will. So probably too much time on and for time's sake, probably too much time on our thoughts on victim versus victor, but shaping ourselves down into our two myths, Corey, and down to our one question, our actionable stuff. I think we're going to live under this umbrella of this E plus R equals O and kind of vet that out a little bit. So myth number one, Corey, is
victors don't get victimized, or another way you could frame that is people that are in your eyes already like winning. They have just had the right circumstances or events befall upon them. They haven't worked for it.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of my thought right there. It's very easy. And I think that's why people do it, is so they can justify their current actions. It's very easy to look at somebody who is in shape and healthy, who has a busy life, and just say, well, their genetics are just naturally better than mine. They burn more calories than me. Their metabolism is better, whatever the case may be. That's an easier conversation to have with yourself to justify than you sitting down and saying, well, the 2 hours that I'm watching Netflix every night and the pint of ice cream I eat while I do that, maybe I should stop and go for a 20-minute walk and buy a $30 set of resistance bands from Amazon and get after it for 45 minutes.
Yeah. And I agree with you. It's like, we see people who are successful, and again, we've heard these stories, but it's like Michael Jordan, right? Everybody's like, oh yeah, he's awesome. He's the best basketball player in the world. He's the GOAT. But the guy got cut from his high school basketball team. It's like, what? No way. And again, everybody's heard the story. And if they haven't, then you're probably living under a rock. But that truly happened, to a guy that is the most, he turned that thing into the driving force that made him the very best, most competitive person probably on earth, and look where it led him. Led him to 6 championships and, first ballot Hall of Famer. And, again, arguably the best basketball player that's ever lived, and so he could have just said, well, you know what? I'm not built to play basketball. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to move on.
Have you watched the Last Dance documentary?
Yeah.
The part if you guys haven't, it's so good. You got to watch it. But Michael Jordan, there's literally a part of the documentary where he tells a reporter that a younger player was talking shit to him during the playoffs and literally just fabricated the lie. And then they did a whole story on it just to fuel his own fire to go out and blow up the next game. It's epic. Epic.
Yep.
This.
So that's the thing too. Yeah.
On the myth topic of victors don't get victimized. I'm fortunate, have been fortunate to have a gentleman in my life as a mentor for quite a few years now, since the time I was 23, 24 years old. He's actually my partner up in Seattle. I also, for those that don't know, I own some gyms up in Seattle as well. And my partner at 69 years old is full of wisdom. And one of the things he says or has taught me or has shared with me with respect to this idea of victim versus victor, and how do you turn victimization into victory? Because we've all been victimized. We established that. Okay, so what? Right? Not to belittle it, but because it's real. But so what? What are you going to do about it? Is he has this law? He calls it the stormy weather law. And what it is it's basically that it rains on the just and the unjust. Okay, i.e., bad things happen to good people.
Yep.
It just does. It's a law. It's universal. It's an absolute. It's not a hypothesis or a theory. And I think that just sums it up. Is that
Yeah.
it just really sums it up. And if you can understand that, think about this. If you're listening on this call right now, if you can understand this, what can you begin to do? You can begin to approach your life with proper expectation. So my thing is, are you living a life right now where you expect that it's not going to rain? I think sometimes we do.
I love
right?
that.
Or,
Yeah.
or are you living a life understanding that there's a law out there, this ethereal stormy weather law, that it's going to rain, and it rains on the just and the unjust, and you try and manage that law with another law, which is the golden rule, right? I'll try and do the right thing at the right time all the time. I'll try and be just towards others, whether they deserve it or not, because I understand the law through which doing that serves me and my capacities moving forward. Like, you manage those two things with proper expectation. And guess what? It kind of, in my opinion, or in my life experience, when I grasped onto that and said, okay, that just kind of is what it is. When something zings me, okay, when a circumstance goes boom, or an event goes boom, or I'm looking for a right hook and I get a left straight right to the freaking grill in life, whether that's financially or physically or mentally or whatever, I can sit there and go, okay, that's what that was, right? Even when I'm doing the right things.
Right.
Because otherwise, if I don't, what do, Cass? What do, Corey? I go to this place of like, oh, that was unfair.
Yeah.
Woe is me.
Woe is fucking me.
Right.
Right? This insurgency conversation. Boo fucking boo. Like, what are you going to do about it? Right. Now because we can all, because here, guys, what's the alternative? We can all sit here and we could just do a campfire, rah-rah, shish kebab. Corey, tell me all the things that have been unjustly done to you or said to you, or tell me how many people have violated trust with you. And Cassidy, same thing for you. And who have you done it to other people? We could just sit around a campfire and have conversation after conversation after conversation. But what does it do? Right? What is it? Absolutely nothing. So to wrap up this myth that victors, people that win in life, don't get victimized, is
bullshit.
It's just not the case. Okay.
Yeah.
Good or bad, right or wrong, it rains on everybody. What are you gonna do with it? How are you gonna respond? And then
love that.
That leads us right into our second myth, which is I'm a victim to circumstances. Meaning that you are a victim to things that have happened to you, and then the myth being that like you truly believe that.
I mean, so for me, like, you know, it's again, you know, I was born to a family. But actually, I was born with, say, diabetes. That means I can't ever be a successful athlete, or you know, I can't be active. Well, sure, there's going to be precautions, or, you know, I mean, we've got a really good friend, Jeremy, who has asthma, you know, and he's got 70% lung capacity. You know, I mean, personally, that would freak me out, but the guy still busts his butt. He still goes to the gym. He still works out hard. You know, and even when he has issues, you know, struggling through that, he's not a victim to the circumstance. He goes out there and he still does it, you know. And so to me, that is just, again, that's a victor mindset. You know, it's not saying, well, I was handed this deal, you know, I was handed this deck of cards and I got to play with it. And you know what? Well, you know, I got a 2 and a 7. Awesome. You know, what do I do with this now? Well, he's figuring out how to work with it. So, you know, again, it's one of those things that, the myth is that you're predisposed with whatever you're given in life. And that's just not the case either. It really isn't. You can do anything you set your mind to if you really, really want to do it. And so it's not the way you were born. It's not the family that you were born into or the body shape that you were born into. Again, let me go back to another basketball analogy. Muggsy Bogues was what, 5'3", 5'5", whatever he was, and played in the NBA. Spud Webb, 5'5", won the dunk championship. Again, you don't look at those guys and go, "Oh, that's a basketball player right there." No, you go, "That's a guy that's 5'5", and I'm going to rule him in the basketball. No, you couldn't. He would kick everybody's ass. So, it's just again, it's having that victor mindset, no matter how or what you were set up with your circumstance, your quote unquote circumstance in life.
I think the way you can turn that myth, that statement of myth, which is I'm a victim to my circumstance, into an appropriate and real statement would read like this: I'm a victim to my response to the circumstance.
Yeah.
Right. Going back to equals R equals O. I'm a victim to, or I will land at, I will end up being a victim based off of and dependent 100% upon my choice I make with how I respond to those things, those circumstances that have been provided to me. And as I'm listening to you talk, Cassidy, I'm just like, I'm thinking about people on Monday. What's today, Wednesday of the week before? I'm thinking about people on Monday. They're going to be, it's Memorial Day. They're probably barbecuing. Some people are going to be doing Murph. They just got done doing Murph. And it's a special day for in our community for those things. We run our charity WAD and do all that, which is cool. But like, I have this thing in my head or my heart, or I'm feeling something right now, like people listening to this going, but you don't understand. Like, you don't, if you knew, right? If you only knew, how hard it was, if you only knew what I'm dealing with right now, if you only knew all of my events, which are circumstances, situations, etc., you might have a different tune. And my thing is I hear you. My thing is those things are real.
Right.
Nobody's saying they're not. What we're saying is, if you don't want to, we're talking about being a victim versus a victor. And the choice is, all we're saying is, if you want to be a victor, if you want victory, if you want to win, you have to find a way to respond better and make better choices and have a game plan to set you up towards victory. Right.
Yeah.
And so just wrapping that up. And then we go into our one question from those two myths, which is,
do I see myself as a victim or victor if I'm 100% honest with myself?
Yeah, say that again, Corey.
Do I see myself as a victim or a victor if I am 100% honest with myself?
Right.
Which is deep. And I think that that's kind of piggybacking off what you said, MJ, of like if you only knew, like I don't think it's an all or nothing. Everybody has moments, like we've said before, where you're driving to work and you pop a tire, and right before that you were in a fight with somebody, and you're just like, of fucking course this would happen to me today.
Right.
Like
Obviously.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So it's not necessarily an all the time thing, but it's something where then later on, are you still holding on to those things years, months, weeks later and going like, God, if only that tire wouldn't have popped and everything would be different right now. Like, I don't think it's a 100% all or nothing thing. And I think that's where the question, do I see myself as a victim or a victor, if I'm honest with myself, comes in, because it's not just a one moment thing. It's not just like, in this scenario, was I a victim or a victor? It's a holistic thing. It's your entire life. What is your attitude towards life? How do you handle adversity? Are you a champion over adversity, or do you succumb to it? And I think that question is super important if you truly are honest with yourself and take reflection, provide a lot of feedback for yourself.
Yeah.
The takeaway, or the key in that sentence is that if you're honest with yourself,
100%.
You can lie to your girlfriend, you can lie to your husband, you can lie to your family and friends. Don't fucking lie to yourself. Right? Like, don't lie to yourself. take inventory and assessment.
True.
I think this is a natural transition into our
Yeah.
go, okay, or our actionable item, which is how do I turn my victimization? Because I've been victim, everybody's been victim. How do I turn my victimization or my events that have happened to me, going back to E plus R equals O, and that circumstance into victory? Step one, Corey, to that question is have self-awareness and ask yourself a question: am I a victor or am I a victim? And be honest, meaning, and it's just a way you can look at that is go, when I look at my life and the things I do or have or don't have, when I talk about those things with others, do I talk about what I'm doing to overcome and responsibility that I've taken to get to where I want to be? Or do I talk about the excuses as to why I'm at where I'm at or why things are where they are? If you are a person that talks about, and walks with excuses, you are exuding a victim mindset. So that's just a little litmus to help you answer that question of, am I a victor or am I a victim? And then I can't remember if it was Corey or Cassidy, we talked about, I could be winning in one role of life and losing in another role of life. And that's okay. They don't have to be binary of this winning all the time at all times.
Right.
But what does have to be a principle is you have to understand and appreciate the mindset of a victor. And a victor is somebody that, number one, has that self-awareness, takes that inventory and lands at a place understanding of step two, that I am at where I'm at because of me. And I take responsibility for it. 100%, not 92, 3, 4, 5, 6%, 100% responsibility. I'm at where I'm at in my life. I have what I have in my life because of me, not because of anybody else or any other circumstance. And the way you can get yourself to believe that is understand this: you either created it or you allowed it to happen to you. You created it or you allowed it to happen to you. Everything from a relationship you're in. My relationship isn't what I want. It's all these reasons. It's your fault. It's your fault that relationship looks the way it does. Why? Because, well, no, you don't understand. She treats me like this, or she does that, or he does this, he does that. Yeah, who the fuck's allowing them to do that? Right? Here, insert Sensi conversation. But you can look at it and go, yeah, those things are happening, but are you allowing them to continue to happen? That's 100% responsibility and your fault. What were to happen if you took that circumstance, changed how you responded to it, and didn't allow it to happen anymore? Well, MJ, that's not realistic and that's not easy. Well, nobody said it was going to be easy. Right? That's where the work comes in.
So I think that leads us to action step two, which is take 100% responsibility for where you are at in your life.
And that's what I was saying. That is step two.
Right.
So we did one, which is self-awareness. Sorry, I just fucking rant sometimes. But number one is absolutely have that self-awareness and be honest. Number two is take 100% responsibility, going, you know what? I have this in my life or don't have this in my life because I created it or I allowed it to happen. But either way, it's on me. And if you do that, that's the primer. That's the catalyst that gets you a chip in a chair. That gets you an opportunity to overcome the victimhood into victory. You will not, you cannot realize your full potential if you don't do that step, period. Again, one man's opinion. I just believe very firmly on that. And then Corey, where do we go from there?
Number three would be identify resources to help where you cannot help yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it's being self-aware is tough. Actually taking ownership of it is tough, but it's really hard and super hard for a lot of people, especially if you're good in some other area of your life, is asking for help, is saying, you know what, I'm a great dad. And I do everything really well. But man, I cannot figure out how to lose weight and go to the gym. So how do I do it? Or you know what? I get by. I do fine with jobs, but I just can't seem to figure out how to save money. How do I do this? How do I get out of debt? And, it's so hard, but it's one of those things that, people think it's a sense of weakness by asking for help. And it's exactly the opposite. It's exactly the opposite. If I say, MJ, how the hell do I get stronger in a squat? Because, I want to be better, but I can't figure it out. Help me. why wouldn't I? You're the pro. You've been doing this for how damn long? I should be leaning on people to do that. Whereas you have people that step back and go, you know what? I have no interest in learning anything more. So they're not taking responsibility, right? All they're doing is they might identify it. They may say, yeah, I know, but I'm just not going to do it. And so they're afraid to take that step, of going to put that action in place. And that is super hard for a lot of people. And I'm one of them.
Cass, the word that comes to mind is humility.
Yeah.
When you seek out resources, when you come to a place and take responsibility and you go, you know what, I've got myself this far and I'm having a problem or a challenge going to the next level, it's really exercising humility. And when you seek out resources. So maybe that's a takeaway. I feel like a lot of people struggle with that, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle with that, but humble yourself. Although Cassidy has and does and will, and for X amount of years come to me personally for certain things in fitness, personally, et cetera, et cetera. 2 weeks ago, I picked up the phone and called him and said, hey man, what do you think about this? I got this problem. Okay. You got a certain skill set in this area. Teach me, show me. And I come to him open and the role just flips. Yeah. And I'm not going, whoa, is it a good job, MJ? I'm just giving an example of like, I needed help. I needed to ask for help. And I humbled myself to turn around and go, hey, Cass, could you help me with this? Right. And is it easy for me to do? Was I really excited to make the call? Not necessarily. Yes and no, because we have a relationship, but that's just an example, I guess, of what you're talking about. But you got to be humble enough and exercise enough humility to seek out those resources, to raise your hand and go, man, somebody out there or something or can help me at least do this in the shortest amount of time possible, most responsibly.
Sure.
Right. Not to say maybe you couldn't get there on your own.
Yeah.
Not to say you couldn't get there on your own. It's like when I hire an employee now, I look at my employees at 38 years old with what I've done and what I've accomplished and my modest successes. The thing that gets me off more than anything is helping other people accomplish whatever they want in their deal. I look at them and I go, listen, come on, listen, learn, and do it in that order. And I want to help save 10 years of waste off your life. I just want you to accomplish what you probably could accomplish on your own a lot sooner and a lot better and a lot more efficiently. Right?
Yep.
Same idea.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Yep.
Is that it, Corey? Is that what we got?
That's it, baby.
Are we done either enlightening the people or offending the people?
Pretty loaded.
Yeah, super loaded.
I think this one was pretty loaded. I mean, in my humble opinion, I think this is, one of them that I think can be directed to anybody. This isn't just for, a small population of our listeners, which all three of them can benefit from this. Yeah.
So this doesn't pertain to the one of you. It pertains to all three of you.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is too is that it makes me reflect on myself. I'm up here in Montana and I'm working here and I look back on this week and I'm like, wow, I didn't do shit that I should have gotten done. And so that's on me. And so it's, it's helping me. It's helping me do a little self-assessment here and reestablishing some priorities. So I appreciate that from you guys. So thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
And I guess in closing,
Sensey feelings.
Yeah, I know. He's always the one with the feelings and shit.
Dude. I'm a weirdo.
No, but we're like, again, these are our opinions, but we're students of life just trying to be better ourselves and together. And that's why we do this. So this is an us thing together. It's not like, oh, we got it all figured out. No, we're on the same freaking program.
Yeah. I'll gladly raise my hand and admit I am an idiot.
Oh, you said it.
From your